of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody, for coming this evening. Go ahead and call the meeting to order, 5:31. Start with the roll call.
Mac Rankin.
Present.
Ben Metzger. Here. Rob Keller.
Here.
Eric Christensen.
Here.
Tim Mills.
Here.
Ryan Worling.
Here.
Sue Wilson.
Here. We have a quorum. Next item on the agenda is good news and board member reports. As always, check out streaming services. Do we have a Netflix account yet?
Not yet. Working on series 1. I did add, so I don't know if you saw in the update, the in the news edition, and so I did add that here too. Just a compilation of where we're found in the news. It doesn't hit everything. There's still some things that aren't on that, but at least it's a compilation there. The other thing just to highlight is we are hosting the South Central Special Olympics tomorrow at our field, and so it's the track and field day. So if you're around, you want to pop down and see that. It starts at 10:30 with opening ceremony, and then 10:45 field events start. So.
Perfect. Board member reports.
I just wanted to say that on March 12th, right after our meeting, we had our DARE graduation for all of our 5th graders. So they all went over to the high school auditorium, and that's Officer Marshall, who does all of our DARE programs. And then he also is our SRO for the middle school. So that was cool to see. They brought, why is that? What's Keto? No, dog. Keto. They brought Keto, K9 dog for the police department, and did a demonstration of how the dog smells drugs and how he would latch onto somebody, and he like swung the arm, and the dog just stayed in the air the entire time. And so the kids were very excited about that. But it was just cool to have all the 5th graders in our district in one area learning about some awesome things. And then I was just going to say there has been a ton of state competitions for our music, our band, our arts, our drama, all that. So that's a lot of our students. So it's cool to see their names among all the artwork and all the music and everything like that. And then just high school musical this year is Footloose, and opening night is May 1st and runs May 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. So I think it involves 90 of our students between crew, cast, lights, all that good stuff, band, and all that stuff. So it's a huge production for our school. So if you're around, check it out.
Good plug.
Anyone else? Okay. Delegations, petitions, and communications.
I have not received any notifications that anyone wishes to address the board.
All right. Next item is the consent agenda. Are there any items that we should pull for further conversation or any questions?
I have questions on the Heartland AEA. I can just ask them now, right? Okay. Are these what we've normally done? Are these like our normal yearly things? Or are the literacy support, the math support, are those, I guess I have a few questions. Are those new? And then on the behavioral support with Stacy Warren, is she doing the programs, and are those targeted for teachers? Are they targeted for students? Like, we explain that a little bit.
Take it first.
So with the changes that are ongoing at the AEA, we have the opportunity to have these agreements with these particular staff members that we have ongoing relationships with. And then that way we can essentially secure them for certain professional development days to deliver that training. The AEAs also are under the guidance of the Department of Ed now and are limited to the things that they can provide to us for training. But in addition to that, then we have additional days that we can use to respond to teacher needs and teacher training throughout So these are intended to be one-to-one services for, or even services for students, is to support our staff.
Okay, okay. So this used to all be under the AEA contract, and now because of all the changes, we just have to individually list them out and what the tasks are.
If we want specific people.
Oh, okay.
Right, so these are contracts for their contracted time, so that we get the individuals that we want.
Okay,
To work with our staff. And then all the funding comes from the AEA dollars that used to go to the AEA, but are now coming to us.
Oh, okay. And that was the legislative changes. Now the school districts can choose how to use that money. And so we're using it by reinvesting in the people that we already know have done some things in our district. Okay.
Any other discussion?
Have we always had a literacy support, or is that new with the goal we have that we're working on for the reading improvement?
Is this the Jody Cross one that you're talking about?
Yeah, the literacy support one in there.
Right, so a lot of work is going into essentially our big district wildly important goal,
Yeah, your
which was
wigs.
the
I have it in here, look, question mark, wigs.
Right. And so through that process, we've implemented what we're calling the cadence of support.
Yeah.
6-week check-ins with each building to check in on their data and the movement and response to the goal. And so these are AEA support staff who have been involved previously with data meetings, but now we have it at a frequency for them to help. Then that's when they also can follow up not only on large group data, but breaking it down to those individual students where sometimes there's a disconnect, like that student's data isn't moving. And so that's the literacy side of it. And then Sarah can comment more about how this is also supporting special education.
Yeah, awesome.
So we've started using Jody this year too to support our targeted schools, so doing like a day to kind of look like that very like fine grain look at students to kind of see if we need to shift what supports or materials we're using for them. So
No,
we've worked with Jody for several years. This is just a little more targeted and a few more days.
It just came to my mind because we've talked about like, how are we moving our goals forward? How are we not just saying, here they are, and then we don't know? So, and I was like, I wonder if this is part of everything they've been working towards, so, thank you.
Appreciate the questions.
Yeah, well, that's just awesome. One more way to say we're moving the needle into where we want it to go, so.
And there are some Heartland AEA services that do not get charged, correct? Or is every service that Heartland AEA provides, whether it's direct to a student or it's in support of a district, is there always a bill that's attached to that? Or are there some services that are provided at no cost?
So it's broken down. Some of it is being provided through the funding from special education.
Okay.
The other services that we're looking at are a fee for service. So they have their half-day and full-day increments of cost. There are other things that are broken out even with ed services, which would be like the media and books and things like that. Now, some of those costs, we've decided that we're going to buy our own books and fund our libraries. So we have those books for years to come versus just a continually paying a fee. So just trying to review all of those to make the best financial decision for those. But there are other things too, such as like crisis support. If we would have a crisis in the district, we get so much of their response, and then above and if we purchase that too, but above and beyond that is that cost.
Okay. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Motion made by Tim.
Second.
Seconded by Eric. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. There are no presentations this evening. Moving on to district. We have the consider approval for the revised certified staff and associate handbook. These are in your assembly. Really appreciate the way that you guys broke these down and provided us the changes separate from the actual document. With that being said, are there any questions on the changes that were noted?
Who helps do these handbooks? Is this a group of people, or Shelley does them, or how do we?
So we asked the staff who's interested, send out a little form, try to get representation from all the buildings, but we didn't have a lot of interest this year. So everybody who applied got to be a part of it.
Okay.
And teachers and associates both, we had on there. I think there were 6 total that provided feedback, went through everything. It's good. It's a good experience, I think, so.
Good. Awesome. You need a motion?
If there's no other questions.
I'll make a motion that we approve the revised 2025-26 certified staff and associate handbooks.
Motion made by Sue,
Second.
seconded by Rob. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Next item is the revised meet and confer handbook.
Similar situation there. As you can see, we met on March I think it's 3rd, I don't have it right in front of me, with meet and confer, representatives of meet and confer groups, and they brought their items of interest for changes, as well as the directors. Very low-key changes, mostly terminology changes, a few updates, tweak to uniform allowance, and of course the pay rates for next year.
And that's the same thing, Chad, you had all sorts of different people on that committee.
Correct. Yep, 1 or 2 people from each of the groups, and yeah, they were invited, and kind of anybody was invited to come. We did want to limit it to 2 for each group, but usually even have trouble getting 2 for each group, so.
And there was good feedback.
Yeah, pretty good feedback.
Motion to approve the revised meet and confer handbook.
Motion made by Ryan,
Second.
seconded by Rob. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Next item is the issuance of letters of assignment for both the meet and confer and the associates.
Yep, so the rates as approved in the meet and confer handbook, as well as in the IEA contract, in the case of associates, were applied to all of our staff members for next year, and you see those rates included in the packet.
Any questions?
Motion to approve rates and issuance of letters of assignment is presented.
Motion made by Eric,
Second.
seconded by Tim. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. And the last handbook of the evening is the Therapy Dog Program Handbook.
I love that handbook.
Yes, so this just goes along with the policy. Talks about how it's going to be enacted, what the guidelines are for each building and how that goes about. So again, it goes along with policy 105, just to formalize that so people understand what it is. And then people can access it on our website and see what the program is.
It talked a little bit about informing the students of how to interact. What do you see that looking like? Like what does that look like?
So I'll tell you about Sadie. Sadie is the one that I have, and she is at Emerson. Sadie greets students every morning. She has her own little chair right in the office, and she sits in there. Brittany has shared that, Mrs. Murillo has shared that some of the stragglers, that's how they get them to come into the building. Sadie's waiting for you. Sadie has a group of kids that she walks down to class every morning. They come in, she greets them. Sadie goes to the door and waits for them at the door. And they say, hey, you need to get going. Sadie's waiting for you. They open the door. Sadie takes them to their class. Sadie comes back and then sits in the room. I have seen nothing but positive, heard nothing but positive. I had somebody stop me at church the other day and thank us for having her in the class. classrooms and in the building. So I think it's been a really good transition for them.
Has the high school dog been implemented or started?
Yes, so
or-
Corey, Mrs. Stanley has 2, and she is in the process of training both of them. And so every other day-ish, one of them comes. And just to get integrated, get used to the kids get used to them. So.
And then the one we have at the middle school falls under?
There are 2. So the one falls under our social emotional, or our counseling.
Oh, okay.
And she comes with the counselor. The other one is Mrs. Studer, who brings bingo with her to the middle school, and then has the kids sit and work with her, work with him. So,
Awesome.
it's been a pretty positive thing since December.
Motion that we approve the therapy dog handbook?
Motion made by Sue,
Second?
second by Eric. Any further discussion? What's that?
It's a pop book.
That's funny, actually. We should rename it.
We should.
Let's edit the agenda.
Motion was made by Sue, seconded by Eric. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Teaching and learning. Next item is the curriculum meeting minutes.
Since you're in person, it's all you. We'll see if he is paying attention.
Let's see. All right. Oh, this was the one from just the other day, wasn't it, last week?
Yeah.
I have a good memory. The Varsity Tours, that's a program that we subscribe to, I believe. And that's where the students can have access to some tutoring help throughout the entire year, I believe. Not just during the school year, but also during other times of the year, where they can go online and get access to different courses that are available, and where they can get some extra help. Let's see, work-based learning.
Can I add something on the varsity
Yep.
tutors? They also have on there, like, for parents, how do we start the college admission program, process? How do we, how do we help fill out these forms? ACT prep test you can get on there. And so it really has a section on there to, also parent-friendly on how do we get our students ready to start looking at colleges. And then you can also, they also have something called the enrichment program or extracurricular classes. So you can do video game creation and see what would that all entail, or a STEM program or cooking program, a lot of different other classes that maybe is thinking outside the box but might interest them too. So it's a free online resource, but if parents really like it and parents choose to, they can pay for an upgraded platform of it. So, but there are free live classes as well. So I think if someone's really struggling in math, we could go on and watch this free live class as a tutor, and then help our students that way. So and remind us where we find it again on the website.
So for the students, they go onto their dashboard on their device. It's called Class Link.
Okay.
It links all of our curriculum programs according to their courses, and that one's available to all middle school and high school students currently.
Are you ready to go again?
You're up again.
Work-based learning is the second thing we spoke about. I think it came from a question earlier this year, whether or not students would be, it would be beneficial to them to have some type of a personal finance class, and if it was required. And through looking at that, it didn't seem as if that would be a necessary requirement to increase the readiness for work-based learning. So that would still just be as an option for our students here, they were wanting to go down that road. It'd be up to, the student and the counselor to make sure that that happened, and the parents. And then the last thing we had was Sarah reviewed the special education matrix there for this plan year.
Questions for curriculum?
I will have to say, if you guys didn't look at, is the matrix uploaded on there? I thought it was really interesting. So like, when we get questions about special education, Sarah showed with us like the matrix on how this drives the special education class rosters. And so when we hear things like, we're not within this guideline and we're not following this and this is all a mess, it actually isn't. It actually has it all pointed and graded and everything. So I really appreciated when she shared this because it helps me better understand exactly how they do come up with how many level 1, how many level 2, like all the weighing and how the point system. And so it's not like we're just handing them a roster and being like, here are the top 15 names on the list. It actually, there's a pretty big formula to it all. So it helped me educate myself a little bit more into our program and why our classrooms look the way they do for special ed.
The next item is the technology committee report.
So, start off, we got an update on the service we have that monitors the network and servers for unusual activity and sends some alerts there. But Sentinel's been providing that service, and Ray and company have been pretty happy with what they've been doing for us there. Got updates on various projects. A lot of things in flight. The wide area network, fiber ring, firewall replacement, potential replacement of GoGuardian, and then the library software. We'll be transitioning to a hosted solution there. Also some recent improvements for security, moving to a daily multi-factor authentication for the staff, so it's more than just a single login to gain access to the servers and software and those types of things. And then we got an update on the IT professional development, and one of the things that really hit home for me is just how valuable those discussions have been and the networking there, so well worth the investment and a lot of takeaways from that development.
Questions for technology? All right, moving on to the monthly financial reports.
Included in the packet. I don't know if there's anything consequential to point out, but I am available for questions.
Anyone have any questions? Okay. The next item is a public hearing regarding the 2025-2026 certified budget. At this time, we'll open the public hearing. Anyone from the public like to speak? Probably. Probably a good idea.
Motion approved.
Seconded by that guy, Rob. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
Catch, Ben.
All right, we will open the public hearing. Just double checking, no one from the public wants to speak. Close the public hearing. Letter C is the adoption of the 2025-2026 certified budget. there any questions from the board before? Motion.
Make a motion to adopt the 25-26 annual school budget and taxes with the levy rate of 17.7005.
Second?
Seconded by Eric. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Letter D is the resolution authorizing the issuance of not to exceed $28,440,000 in GO school bonds, Series 2025, and levying a tax for the payment thereof.
This is what they consider to be a pre-levy later this year, and I think I maybe put it in the content, so I'm kind of repeating myself, but later this year we'll be looking to issue the bonds for the high school, but in order to kind of put the structure in place for us to be able to go ahead and set it up to tax for next year, we passed this resolution that tells the auditor to go ahead and kind of identify that and put that placeholder in place, and then later when we actually do issue the bonds, we let them know and they take care of actually putting the correct taxing in for property taxes on that.
Any questions? Entertained motion.
Make a motion to adopt the resolution authorizing the issuance of not to exceed $28,440,000 in general obligation school bond series 2025 and levying the tax for the payment thereof as presented.
Motion made by Tim.
Second.
Seconded by Eric. Any further discussion? And a roll call, please.
Mac Rankin,
Aye.
Ben Metzger,
Aye.
Bob Keller, Eric Christensen,
Aye.
Tim Mills,
Aye.
Ryan Worley,
Aye.
Sue Wilson.
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carries 7-0. Facilities Committee report from the 3rd, April 3rd.
You
got it?
All right. Met with Bernie and he just talked about some of the updates of the high school project, such as pouring of concrete, development of the courtyard, moving of some dirt and exterior grading along the north side. Also talked about the new speed limit signs that are going to go in on 92 in front of this campus area between the middle school and high school. Bernie gave an update on some of the just summer checklist things happening, just some reconfiguration of some space at a couple of the elementary schools, Whittier and Emerson, some repairs on Whittier's playground, and then some just general maintenance for concrete and parking upgrades. And then bulk of it we talked about was the baseball softball renovation project, looked at specs. Those are going to be next here on the approval. But kind of just talked about that in anticipation of bids opening up if it is approved in May, early May. So, and then, like we've talked about before, that if it is approved, it would begin at the conclusion of this year's season and be ready for next year. So there should be no interruption. That's about it. Did I miss anything?
No, just, the only other thing was that we're gonna meet at the high school and walk through at our next meeting.
Yeah.
Just to kind of see the progress that's been made.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Some people who haven't been over on this side that finally saw it are like, oh my God, it's huge. So,
It's not something other board members can attend.
So we talked about doing a walkthrough in June, July, either before or after our meetings. But if you wanted to come and do the walkthrough, we just thought we would tag along with as we're a little bit further along in the project. And then we also talked about opening it up in August for teachers to go through, anybody that wants to, just to see what's happening inside.
Any questions for facilities? As Ben mentioned, we've got the contracts here on the baseball, softball fields.
I'll make a motion to approve the plans as presented.
Motion made by Ben,
Who was in
Like who drew up the plans and the specs? For,
Snyder.
Snyder Associates.
so like, they've talked with coaches and Ryan's been involved on.
Ryan's been involved. Ryan, and he was at our last facilities meeting
Okay.
too, so he could hear that, back in there, so.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, they've had numerous meetings leading up to this with softball coaches, baseball coaches, Ryan, Bernie, and so they're pretty clear communication, and everybody seems to be satisfied with what's been presented.
Okay.
And just remind me on the donation that was made to the district, how much was that for?
It was just short of $1 million between the two projects.
And something that just kind of to note back to the facilities too, Bernie's done a lot of stuff on his own, not on his own, but with our own people in-house, like such as the dugouts, and I just noticed it as I drove in, the new netting and fencing is up and all that stuff, so Bernie's been able to save a considerable amount of money by doing that in-house. I don't, do you remember the figure? I know he threw it out there.
I
It
don't
was a
remember
lot.
the figure, but it's.
Significant.
Haven't seen.
I made a motion, yeah.
Motion made by Ben, seconded by Tim. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Policy Committee meeting report, May 27th, March 27th, sorry. March.
It was riveting.
It was a quick one.
That was kind of fast. I like the way they pull up here now, you can just kind of see what was revised, exactly. Kind of like the handbooks. A lot easier. So, major. There was one that was removed, but that's because its content was like part of a couple of other.
Rescinded.
Yeah, that one was rescinded, sorry, rescinded, because its content was within a couple other policies. That's for you.
I don't know, does the format that I'm putting them in whether we're just reviewing, which means there's no changes, we just need to look at them, whether they're revisions, rescinding as we go through the IASB audit. There are quite a few that get compiled into one, and so then we rescind the ones that we don't need any longer because they're in a different one. And then some of them are just minor changes, like we have a grammatical error, there's a spelling error that was caught. So just trying to get that so it's easier for you and the public to understand what's going on.
Much easier than throwing everything into one big list.
Right.
Very helpful.
Any questions on first reading?
Make a motion to approve the first reading of the listed policies.
Second?
Motion made by Ben, seconded by Eric. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. And the second reading,
Make a motion to approve the second reading.
Second?
motion made by Ryan, seconded by Eric. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. All right, the board calendar is attached. Tomorrow morning, we have the finance committee meeting. Travis, I believe, is going to be here tomorrow?
Correct.
Okay. Thursday, HR. Okay. Next, is that Tuesday, the 22nd, if I remember correctly, technology. And Thursday of next week, policy. That ends us out through April. Anything that needs changed?
I've got a conflict for tomorrow morning, so I don't know if there's somebody who is able to stand in my stead, or how that works.
Are you gonna be able to be here?
Yep.
You're gonna have to take care of it. Okay.
just came up today. Somebody sick at work.
Anything else on the calendar that anyone has conflict with? Okay. Our next regular board meeting will be on May 12th. Here at 5:30. Before we go into closed session, I need a motion to appoint a temporary secretary for the remainder of the meeting. Probably Sue?
It's paper and pen.
And no computer.
Palm Pilot.
A Palm Pilot.
Motion to appoint Sue as temporary secretary.
Motion made by Eric, seconded by Tim. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. And we need a motion to go into closed session to evaluate the professional. Yes, please. Professional competency of an individual who has requested a closed session.